Flight data recorders are heading to a lab in Washington, D.C. Now, these could give the NTSB key evidence into what led up to a deadly crash. It was between that Air Canada plane you see there and a fire truck at LaGuardia Airport in New York. Both pilots were killed in that crash. Now, you can see investigators had a lot of debris to go through.
The tail of this aircraft is on the ground, and in order to get to the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder, the Port Authority and the emergency responders cut a hole on the roof of the aircraft, dropped down, and was able to get the CVR and FDR for us, which then one of our investigators drove back to our labs.
And we want to get you expert insight into what we are seeing and hearing so far. So I want to bring in aviation attorney and former Air Force fighter pilot Willard Shepard. Willard, thanks so much for joining us here this morning.
Well, always good to see you, but certainly not under these circumstances. First of all, our condolences, thoughts and prayers, and God's blessings to those two pilots who lost their lives. I will say from looking at this and what I've seen so far, as with any of these accidents, there's a combination of things that have gone awry here that have all kind of come together. And now the NTSB will be able to move further forward to find out exactly what happened. My initial analysis is there are four factors that we were dealing with here. You had a United airplane that was on the ground there that declared an emergency and was calling for assistance. Number two, those two firefighters from New York City there at LaGuardia were trying to get to help them. Number three, the controllers were dealing with not only the situation with the United aircraft in the emergency, but they were also trying to make sure that they could get the aircraft that were coming in to land on the ground. And there were two of them. There was a Delta Airlines flight coming in on runway 13, which is right near where this tragedy occurred, and the Air Canada flight that they were talking to along the way. And that aircraft was number two in the sequence to land. And I think what transpired here from listening to the radios, it's possible that the controller thought that the Delta flight, which had already landed on the adjoining runway, was actually the Air Canada flight, which is why he went ahead and gave the clearance for the firefighters to go ahead and cross the runway. And one final thing when it comes to crossing any active runway, even if you have the clearance, just like when you're driving, you have to see and avoid, you have to look out. We don't know what the second firefighter was doing, the one that wasn't driving, if he was getting his equipment ready, those types of things. And they'll certainly talk to him about that.
And clearly hearing that air traffic controller conversation, we're getting an idea of exactly what happened leading up to that. But as you mentioned, none of us were in the cab there of that fire truck to know what was happening inside. And also we're seeing these pictures and videos. I know you've seen the damage up close, and it's really interesting just seeing how this happened and how that plane came to rest, because you see the front of the plane, it's pretty much tilting up, and where the cockpit is, it's just obliterated. What do you think happened upon that impact there to cause that damage and then to push that plane up?
Well, they were coming in to land in above 100 miles an hour and decelerating at this point. When they collided the airplane, the information I have is the collision actually took place at about 104 miles an hour. And you can only imagine the weight of that aircraft colliding with the weight of the fire truck there at that type of speed, which is why we see basically the front of the Air Canada airplane simply just being destroyed there, and why we have these two fatalities that have unfortunately taken place. One other factor that the NTSB certainly wants to know about is inside the fire truck, what was transpiring as to why, when the calls came, stop, 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 that they did not respond to that and continue to go further forward. And those items will be addressed today. One thing that the general public can relate to with all of these long lines, the very person for the NTSB that is the expert that will get to the bottom of that lives in or was in Houston, Texas, and was stuck in the TSA lines for over 3 hours, couldn't get there. The NTSB had to actually call the TSA there in Houston to try to get this expert, this woman there, so she can do her work today.
Yeah, there is a lot going on in the aviation world. We've got those long lines. We now have this major crash here. Willard, always appreciate your insights. Thanks so much for joining us. And stay with CBS News Miami on air and online. We'll have continuing coverage of the deadly LaGuardia collision.